We had a treat when we were out in San Francisco last week. I had a chance to sit down with companies that are trying to find solutions to all sorts of problems. And not just technology problems. Problems I didn't even know we had. Take food waste. Did you know that every year roughly 20 billion pounds of produce goes to waste just because it doesn't look good enough to display on the shelves of most grocery stores? There are places in this country where it's a real struggle to find fresh vegetables. Food deserts, I call them. Yet we're throwing tons and tons of stuff away because it's ugly. What kind of people are we? We judge an apple by its cover. Enter Full Harvest. That's a privately held company that's created a marketplace for these ugly fruits and vegetables. Turns out there are plenty of customers who don't really care what the produce looks like. Just turn it into juice, for heaven's sake. I think it's an intriguing story. And last week we had a chance to speak with Christine Moseley, the CEO of a company called, it's private, Full Harvest. I want you to take a look at this. All right, Christine, tell us why you started Full Harvest and what it does.
Sure. I spent 15 years within the supply chain and the food industries, and I saw a huge amount of waste and not enough innovation. And my last role, I helped scale one of the first green juice companies in the U.S., and I loved what they were doing in terms of healthy food and awareness, but I was frustrated that they were selling $13 green juices, and I wanted to figure out a way to make healthy food more affordable. So I moved out to California 5 years ago to find an opportunity to do so, and that's when I found the shocking food waste statistics that tens of billions of pounds of produce are going to waste at the farm level just because it's not perfectly shaped for grocery stores. And food and beverage companies could definitely use that product.
But why couldn't the culture change? Why are we so addicted to great-looking fruit?
Over the last few decades, we've been in a time of abundance.
Right.
So consumers have just had the luxury of being able to be pickier and pickier. And at the same time, retailers have gotten bigger and bigger buying power and more consolidated. So that demand has trickled down to growers, and it's literally changed the way that we harvest in this country.
Well, it does seem like that we do waste a lot. You've actually got statistics on how much. It's staggering.
Yes, so originally we thought that 40% of food was wasted in the U.S., and recent studies just added to that number where they found that a third of all edible produce is not even harvested from farms. So it's even worse of a problem than we thought. And food waste as a total impact to the world is the #3 contributor to climate change, even over cars and cows.
#3, why? I mean, just the way we farm?
So food produces methane, which is 30 times stronger than carbon emissions. And because there's just so much of it being wasted, that goes straight up into our atmosphere.
So if we eat it, it is actually better for the environment.
Yes.
All right, so how can we eat it if it's lying on the ground? How do you get it to where it should be without it spoiling?
So that's what Full Harvest is solving as the first B2B marketplace for imperfect and surplus produce. So we actually help incentivize growers to easily offload that product because they didn't have an easy way to sell it. And so now they can, within minutes, help sell that product directly to food and beverage companies that don't need to care what produce looks like and put it into things like beverages, snacks, soups.
Well, I know when I was in Europe recently, the French, for instance, they don't seem to mind ugly fruit. We could conceivably adopt that attitude. I know Kroger's done it in a bunch of places, and millennials at least are willing to buy ugly fruit.
Yeah, that's a trend that just started in the last few years, right. Thankfully, because it's really important as food waste is such a huge problem. The sooner that consumers realize that ugly produce is just as delicious as perfect-looking produce. And we're excited about the fact we're creating snacks with some large food and beverage companies that will contain our Full Harvest rescued vegetables in it. So that's another way that consumers can actually impact and make a difference by purchasing.
All right, so let me posit something. If we had such a thing as shame, if there was shame, we would say, shame on America. You should eat stuff that doesn't look perfect. In some ways, your for-profit company, which is private VC-backed, would do poorly if we were shamed. You are making a bet that we're never going to get it in this country, are we?
Well, what we're trying to say to food and beverage companies is that we are doing all the heavy lifting and solving the problem for them, but we can't solve the problem without their buying power. So in that way, there's a huge opportunity for them to simply purchase through us and solve the problem. And so in a way, we're not shaming them, but saying, we're making it super easy for you. So it's up to you now if you want to actually help the problem.
You gave us some staggering statistics about waste. How big is the real merchandise value of what you're doing? Meaning, without more awareness, can it grow, or do we just have to? You have to get the word out and do missionary work as a company.
Yeah, so that is part of what we do is awareness, but we provide huge value to businesses as well, both farms and buyers. So we help both with their bottom line, where farms get incremental revenue and buyers save money and save on their bottom line across the board. So that is what's really helping also us scale as a business.
Can you give us a percentage of how much a farmer might make more with you and how much a processor, I guess, or a food store would save?
Sure. So with farms, we've found in case studies that we've actually been able to increase their yield by up to 30% and their profit by 12% per acre, which is massive right now when most farms in this country are on the verge of bankruptcy. And then on the buyer side, we've been able to save up to 10 to 30% off on their produce.
And who are some of the wise buyers who would take advantage of that?
Some of the ones that we can share are companies like Urban Remedy that are growing and expanding nationally. They were one of our first customers, and we've saved 2 million pounds of produce from going to waste by them using us in their beverages. Vive Organic is an amazing healthy shot company that's scaling large throughout the country. And so, we're scaling into new consumer types as well.
I think some of these companies ought to take a look at themselves in the mirror and realize that this is the way to go.
Yeah,
I think you're doing a great thing. I hope you make a lot of money.
Thank you so much.
That is Christine Moseley, CEO of Full Harvest, private company doing the right thing. Stick with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.